Welcome to the Riveo Impact Lab, the podcast in which we explore what it means for small businesses to have real impact in an evolving world. On this podcast, we engage our curiosity around topics like sustainability, diversity and inclusion, and the ethical outcomes of our decisions, all from a small business perspective. Hi, I'm Emily.
And I'm Ellen, and we release episodes of the Riveo Impact Lab once a month on the second Thursday of every month. So be sure to follow us on YouTube, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can support us by listening, sharing, or leaving a review.
Today, we're sharing our interview with Tom Herring. Tom is the co-founder and managing partner of Benefit Corporations for Good, an organization that provides certifications to companies that need a credible and accessible alternative to traditional B Corp certification. Tom has worn many hats, working as a creative director, copywriter, and brand strategist at his own marketing communications firm, as well as working for well-regarded agencies in the Northwest United States as a copywriter and creative director. Tom has worked on projects for national and regional companies you've definitely heard of, like Nike, Intel, and Bob's Red Mill Natural Foods. He's worked with healthcare organizations, including Providence Health Systems, Regents Blue Cross Blue Shield, as well as Good Samaritan Hospitals in Corvallis and Portland. And his nonprofit experience involves work for Impact Northwest, Loaves and Fishes, Oregon Special Olympics, and more. Tom currently serves as the advocacy co-chair for the Interfaith Alliance on Poverty, an organization dedicated to fighting generational poverty. And he's also the co-author of the books Putting Soul into Business, How the Benefit Corporation is Transforming American Business, and 25 Building Blocks to Create a Conscientious Organization. Tom has received many awards like Clio's, Addies, Tellys, and Rosies for the work that he's created. Tom's wealth of expertise has made him exactly the right fit to do what he does now, in leading others to put their values first.
I first heard about Benefit Corporations for Good when one of my friends got certified, and I knew Tom would be a great guest because of the experience and expertise he has, as well as his desire to make doing good accessible to companies of all sizes.
Tom and his team have definitely been doing just that. So if you're interested in what certification could look like for you, or you just want to hear an interesting story of impact, please enjoy this episode of the Riveo Impact Lab.
Tom, thank you for being with me here today. I'm excited to chat with you.
Very excited to be here, Ellen. I really appreciate your reaching out to me and having an opportunity to share what I can with your listeners and viewers out there. So thank you very much.
Awesome. Well, that's great because we try to tell stories of impact. I shouldn't say we try. We do tell stories of impact. And learning about you and your organization, I know there's a really great story there to tell. So why don't we start out by kind of you giving us the overview of your career and kind of what got you to the place where you are today?
Yeah, that's a great place to start. So, my career has really had three distinct acts, and they're all connected by this thread of storytelling and persuasion, each point kind of pushing me a little deeper than the last. And I'll start off by saying my first two acts were in the advertising world as a copywriter and a creative director, and then eventually becoming an owner and creative director of my own creative services business.
So who did you work? Did you work for one of the big agencies when you got started?
No, I mean, the agencies they're rarely, I think there are a couple that are still in business, but they're much smaller and they're more regional. So the agencies were in Portland and in Seattle, so both places. And then when I set up my own business, of course, it was here. And so, but along the way, this third act kind of got bubbling up, and I really wanted to do something meaningful, really heart-centered. You know, Financial concerns were not important to me. It was more like, I want to leave some impact. Really want to do something good for my community, for the business leaders that I always admired and believed in. I got introduced to this concept of the benefit corporation, and here in Oregon, they call it the benefit company. There are four of the 40 states right now call it benefit company. The rest either call it benefit corporation or social purpose corporation, which is the case in the state of Washington. But yeah, I really wanted to do something good for the world, as I said, something that wasn't just brand building, but something that could make uh, meaningful change for the better, of course. And so the turning point, it really wasn't that dramatic as much as it was. It's time to take these skills that I've acquired to this at this point in life and do something with them that uh, has impact. That has impact.
So you've got these, like, storytelling skills, advertising skills, you know how to connect with an audience, and you learn about benefit corporations, and then you decide to dedicate yourself to this cause?
That's kind of how it went. So I'll get beneath the surface here a little bit for you, Alan. So I had my business partner, my co-founder, Benefit Corporations for Good, Marianne Harmer, who's now retired. She and I initially thought we were going to work in this third act and offer senior level thinking, leadership, marketing help to nonprofits. And we kind of did that for a year, helping project work for various organizations that were based here in Portland. But along the way, we got introduced to the Oregon Benefit Company. And once we learned about that, this was in 2018, um, we felt that was a better mesh of our business skills and our desire to do good. This was kind of the perfect intersection.
So what was that? The Oregon Benefit Company, what did they do? What intrigued you so much?
Yeah, so I think it's because it was very mission driven in its concept, where as a benefit corporation or benefit company, you you have baked in a responsibility because it is part of your articles of incorporation on the state you're registered in to make your decisions based on people and planet in addition to profit. So again, it's the stakeholders model really at its basic roots. And we
So
love that
this is
idea.
I'm sorry to interrupt
Yeah,
you, but
go ahead.
I just wanna
Sure,
get really clear on what this
sure.
benefit corporation is.
Yeah.
I learned a little bit about it. We were in the process of applying for B Corp certification,
Mhm. Yeah.
and so it came up during that process. And so it's a benefit corporation is a legal structure, right?
So what happens is when let's say you're just incorporating now as a business and you go to the Oregon Secretary of State's website, or in your case, you're in the state of New York, so you do the same thing. And you decide, are you going to be an LLC? Are you going to be an S Corp or a C Corp? And you make that decision based on input from your accountant and from your attorney and, whatever other advisors you might have. And at that time, you're also able to check a box, at least here in the state of Oregon. I think it's pretty universal across the 40 states that offer this right now, where you check a box says, "Oh, I also want to be an Oregon benefit company." So you're operating as an LLC, but also committed to the principles and the statute of the Oregon Benefit Company or the New York Benefit Corporation. So again, it's still based on the standard, time-driven corporate structure. What you cannot do is you cannot go into this uh, designation as a sole proprietor. You must be incorporated in some form or fashion. So that's really it. And then what happens is that gets into your, as I said, your articles of incorporation, and then you need to follow those up. And a couple of the I'll just maybe these are some additional you know, elaboration here, that you have to adopt a third party standard. So we are one of four on the Oregon Secretary of State's website. And there's B Lab, of course, which is you're familiar with. There's Benefit Corporations for Good. There's Green America, another third party standard. And then the fourth one is GRI, which is a General Reporting Initiative. I think that's And then you identify with that third-party standard, you follow, that as a guideline, and at the end of each year, it could be dependent, the year is whatever you decide as a company or as a leader that you must report an annual benefit report, must produce an annual benefit report that states how you made material positive impact on society, on your people, on the planet, um, and then report that annually. And then that has to be distributed somehow, and normally it's on your website. Some people do it through distribution of an email to their key stakeholders, investment people, whatever the case may be. We, as an organization, and I'm pretty sure this is the true of B Lab, but we require that you must do that, and it must be produced and shown on your website if you want to be recertified with us. And our recertification is annually. It's every year. You must go through this process again. So, and that's kind of our standard right now. And our first 20 companies wanted that baked in. They wanted that accountability baked in when we had our first group meeting to determine that.
Okay, so you came across, so let me just make sure I've got the story straight. So you came across a company that was already certified and that inspired you to wanna become a certifying body?
More that we learned about the existence of the Oregon Benefit Company. It was more that this was an option. And we had a friend who was a small business ombudsman in the Oregon Secretary of State's office, if that makes sense. And she was basically putting on, here's what it is. It was just a basic informational a meetup. And the problem is, Ellen, one of the biggest problems that continues, anybody in this movement knows this, that the benefit corporation in whole is not very well known, even though in Oregon it's been since 2014. And in some states, I think Maryland was the first state, and it was 2008. None of the states spent any money on a public information campaign to let small business owners like you know that this is an option. Well, part of what Marianne and I did initially, and it's still part of what drives me, is that I need to just get out and share this, be an evangelist, share this idea that if making social environmental impact is important to you, if you want some accountability, then this is a great way to go, in terms of building your business and attracting talent and attracting customers and being a great community member, standing well in the eyes of your community.
Yeah, I love that because it's one thing to have, like, hopes and dreams that you're gonna make the world a better place. It's a whole other thing to prove that you're doing the things that you say you want to do or that you're going to be doing. We know this well. We do EcoVadis as one of our assessments every year. We have to go through and prove all the things that we're doing. We put out an impact report. Like, we do a lot of things as a company. Um, and also try to spread the word about the importance of this and the fact I feel, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this, but I feel like even a small company can make an impact by doing the things, that they believe is gonna make an impact, but also then by talking about it, and then there's, like, this ripple effect, or by asking their, vendors to adhere to certain policies and standards, and asking their contractors, and, there is this you can make a difference.
Absolutely. And I think that's really been our focus has really been on the small business community. And yes, we have a couple larger companies that are 1,500 FTEs. There's one that has 800 to 1,000. But the majority of our businesses are smaller in scope. But not only do we believe that they can make as much a difference as a large corporation, they're usually geared to move quicker in that direction. You don't have you don't have a board to go through. You don't have a law review that you have to. If you, as a small business owner, make a decision, that gets done relatively quickly. After, of course, you might consult with your attorney or you might consult with your CPA on that. And sometimes we suggest that. But it's the nimbleness of a small business to be able to make that change and to go quickly at it. and that's why we wanted to stay. We felt that other certifications were just too time consuming and too costly. So while ours is not going to be as rigorous, it isn't, but it's still, as we call it, kind of the on ramp to B Corp certification, if that is your goal as a business leader. But we have several businesses in our community that are certified by both. And of course, the ones that are dual certified, I'll typically at this point in time seem to be in the state of Oregon. And then I'm getting some spillover from some other businesses that had been B Corp certified, but they liked our standard and felt it fit them better. And these are from other states. So, but I think back to your point about small business making a difference. Absolutely, it can, and we see some really amazing work that our businesses. I'm awed and inspired on a daily basis on what they're doing, and I just get the draft off the fumes. I mean, it is such good stuff. So
Yeah, that's really cool. I was just talking to somebody today about being in that community where people are positive about making an impact in the world, and not that they're not paying attention to the news, but despite the news we hear from Washington, um, they're doing they're doing what they do to make the world a better place, and there's something very invigorating about being in that company, of those people. So that's very, very cool. And you work with businesses in all 50 states, is that right?
yeah, well, it's 40 because there are only 40 states that have that legislation right now. So eventually it'll be all 50. But we have at this point in time, Ellen, we have 13 states, soon to be 14 states, where our standard is represented, our certification is represented, and then we also have a Canadian province as well. So, um, we're moving. It's a wonderful thing. I mean, people find out about it, and I'm looking to build our community so that this becomes as well known as B Labs, certification. So.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that because, as we're a marketing company as well, like you are very much into storytelling, and I'm just curious, like, what your thoughts are about the best way to get these stories out there so that more small businesses or larger businesses can learn about this type of certification and even think like, I'm sorry, this is going to turn into a long question, but I remember I was at a conference several years ago, many years ago now, and it was this organization that put it on. They're committed to doing good, specifically in disadvantaged communities, and they were featuring a lot of businesses that are like in business for good. They're in business to make money and they're in business to do good. And like a light bulb went off for me. I was like, "Oh, I didn't even know that that was a thing. That's amazing. That's what I want to do." Um, like I think a lot of people probably don't even know. Like they they probably haven't thought about it yet. They're just trying to survive maybe as a business. But how do you like reach those people?
Yeah, so it's I had a similar question today from one of our certified businesses leaders, as a matter of fact. And the best thing. Uh, Let me back up a step. So last June, it'll be a year here at the end of June. I brought five of our business leaders representing four companies. They're the dual certification businesses, so they're certified by the B Lab, they're certified by Benefit Corporations for Good. And I gave them my short vision for the next 3 years. I said, "I really wanna build benefit corporations for good. I need your help. I need your advice." And then I shared, some confidential information that they were able to kinda take away. And one of the big things they told me to get this story out further, wider, and farther out, it is through speaking. So, I have worked really diligently where I'm out meeting with people or I'm speaking to groups as frequently as I possibly can. And my whole mission on these talks that I have is to inform, not sell. So I really am informative, and there's some persuasion based on the data that I share. So why, if you're interested in hiring the best and brightest from Gen Z, here's some research from Deloitte, or here's something that Edelman is saying right now that you need to do. If you want to attract younger customers, better know that they're going to go check out what you're about if they're new to your area or they haven't heard of your company. What do you stand for? What do you stand up for? And so that's kind of been my goal. I have a student team from the University of Oregon, my alma mater, that is helping me with social media, and they've done a super great job on, again, building campaigns. So one thing we're doing right now, we started in probably early February, but it's a testimonial campaign, very basic, but it's interviewing. I think there are 30 leaders of our community that's participated, and they were asked 2 questions, and then these are on our particularly on our LinkedIn page, the Benefit Corporation's good LinkedIn page, but it says, "Why did you certify, and what has happened since?" And so they will talk about um, their belief in being a servant leader and doing good in their community. And then they will talk about specific things that has happened to that business since that certification. Some are very new, meaning they've been certified in the last year to two. Some are some of our oldest businesses that have been with us, 6 or 7 years. And so that is part of our how I'm just disseminating the message out there. I'm getting that message out there, and then I'm been doing some shorts, videos on YouTube, and again, answering basic questions about some of the questions you're asking me. What is a benefit corporation? Why should I do it? What are the requirements? Is this going to help me be a better purpose-driven leader? Those kinds of things. Again, to inform, not to sell. I do talk about, we have a 12 question quiz on our website, on our homepage. It's free. It takes 2 minutes, and it helps a leader like you, Ellen, that you go take this test. And if your values are aligned with the values of our community, does this make sense for you? And then there's a scale. You'll see where you are. Are you ripe and ready? Are you you're working that way? And then there's always the option, if somebody wants to talk to me, I'm always open to kind of share what I would suggest, and how they might go at it if they're interested in, pursuing that path.
Yeah, that all sounds great. No, so I think we've established that having the accountability is good to make sure that as a purpose-driven leader or a person who wants to be that, it helps you to step into that role and do the things and make a real impact. You alluded to just now that this can also be really good for business. Like you talked about attracting talent and finding customers that want to spend their money with a purpose-driven business that aligns with their values. Can you speak just a little bit more about how getting certified as a benefit corporation can actually be good for business?
Yeah, so I think I would go back again to those 2 points that I just made. So what's good for your business is that you want to get the right employees, the right team members, to help you carry out the mission of your business. All right. And this is one way that you have the ability to do that. You can talk about your ethos as a business, and here are the things you stand for.
And attracting talent, like when I've seen business surveys for small business, attracting good talent is hard. It's a big pain point.
It's probably the number one challenge, I think, that our smaller businesses have. I think, is to find the right people. And granted, we're living in a time where it's employment anywhere is tenuous, let's just say, at best. But I think as things get better, that is still going to be a very powerful point. Gen Z is very concerned about. They don't want to work for companies that just make money. They have to see a purpose beyond profit for them to be really bought into. And that's what, making a commitment, having that fiduciary responsibility does. for a small business. It helps them bring that talent in, get them excited, and it also does things for existing team members too. There was a company that really just studied the millennial generation. All right, and what was important to them was to put out reports, deeply driven research reports on what that generation was thinking about for jobs, for the future, for what kind of things they were buying, and it was overwhelmingly, in favor of a company that is really good and not just having a PR department, spinning things out, but have some accountability baked into that business. And I think the one thing that I always tell leaders that come to me is that I said, you small business owners are powerful change agents, for our economy. There is, they hire locally, they usually buy locally. There are so many good things that keep that particular economy of that community humming thanks to their efforts.
Yeah, no, that's very true. What so you've kind of sold me on the fact that, Benefit Corporation, this is a good thing to do. And I know as a small business owner, we're often wearing many hats, we're stretched thin. What's a good like first step, would you say, for somebody that's thinking about this, but they haven't started the process yet? They're perhaps a bit overwhelmed.
Two things that I would suggest right off the bat, and I tell them, number one, take this 12-question quiz. This will give you it's free. You won't get anybody following up trying to sell you anything. See where you are. And then depending on that, well, regardless of whatever comes back, then talk to your team, what team members you have. Share this information, see if they are aligned with your thinking as a leader, that this is something that I want to do. And if you come to a consensus that yes, or let's do it, it's very simple, and that you are able then to just go to our website on our Get Certified button, and our fees are based on FTEs. Our fees are based. B Labs is based on revenue of the company. We don't have anything like that, and our lowest price point has been maintained for 7 of the 8 years. We want to keep that low because we think that small businesses, and this is 5 FTEs or less, $299, and then the following year for recertification is $199. I mean, it's very little money. I definitely, my board says you need to raise your fees, you need to pay yourself. I said that's not the point right now for me. I want, I want to help these small businesses get going, and I'll pay off somewhere along the line. But then what happens is after that, they have a 60-question document that they get a link to. And then they have to fill out the certification. It's form. It's self-evaluation on a scale of 1 to 5, and then you add supporting documentation if it's helpful. It's not mandatory, but if it helps elaborate on your answer. And they're based on our 8 standards of understanding the purpose of benefit corporations, what we call conscientious leadership, DEI, green practices, community engagement, customer service, strategic business practices, and work life, but we call it life balance. Those 8 areas are, you know, of that certification document that you must fill out as a leader. And then I get notice that you filled it out. I go through it. Usually within a couple weeks, then we will set up an evaluation call where what you did well, where you can improve. And because of my marketing background, Marianne, my retired business partner, I also had a very strong marketing background. We share some of top level things about what that website might have, how you might leverage your certification to your community, let them know what are some key documents. We have a free resources page that is full of how to write a benefit report, because that's going to be something you have to do in your follow up uh, at recertification time the following year. So that's kind of the process, really. That's how I would do it. But I think most importantly, it's finding out that, making sure that you're aligned. And then number two, making sure that your team is with you. You want that team with you, and supporting you, and how you go from that certification to being part of the community.
Yeah, no, that sounds great. And it doesn't sound too daunting. It sounds like doable.
No, I think that's deliberate, and we wanted to make this as the headline on our website says the on-ramp to benefit corporation certification. We look at it as an on-ramp. And, people learn things every year as they go through their certification, and we don't wanna make it too onerous, but yet we wanna have some robustness to it, you know? And, uh, it people usually go through it, and we suggest a 2 to 4 hour time slot where you're uninterrupted and you kinda go through that, and then you can save it, and if you need to come back and add documentation that you think make that answer better understood, add clarity, et cetera, then, you can do that. But, I've rarely heard anybody that said it's onerous. I don't think I've ever heard the term described.
Yeah, no, this is really helpful. I only have a couple more questions for you. One of them is kind of like thinking big picture, and maybe projecting into the future a little bit. Like, how do you see the impact of small businesses, you know, making the world a better place when it comes to sustainability and social impact? I think we touched upon this, but I'd like to hear what gives you hope for the future.
Yeah, so I'll start yeah, it's a very good question. I'm gonna start with a class I spoke at last week, a week ago today, as a matter of fact, at Penn State University here in my hometown, and a friend of mine teaches a class called Professional Selling, and it's in the School of Business. And I went in, and he wanted me to just tell them my story, my career story, and, if I could leave them with any nuggets, and then open up to a Q&A. Of course, I got going. I I tended to kinda chat for a while, and what I said to them was how important, even in a selling situation, whether it's for your business or somebody else's, is that make sure that your values are clearly understood and represented in any situation you're in. And whether you're just informing a prospective client, whether you're helping sell a product or a service, that is the way that people understand right off the bat that that's where trust is built, is what I said. That is where trust is built. And if you're vulnerable about it for whatever reason, that's fine. People want people that are real, not some automaton. So they asked some very good questions. 2 or 3 of their students were very peppering me with some great questions, about the benefit company. They're asking me about, well, what if I go into a sales, some scenarios about sales. And what I really believe, you know, past that wonderful, because I got a ton of inspiration coming out of that. And I sent my friend how much I loved it. And um, I believe, Ellen, that people really want, young people in particular are looking for change. And again, there's a ton of research just on politics right now about what young people believe and think. And that's where I get my hope. I think we're at an inflection point. And I think the idea is, the data shows how much a millennial, a Gen Z, progressive-minded generations, what they want right now. And I think this is going to be one of those things where, you know, becoming, certified as a B Corp or a benefit corporation or through Green America or whatever the certification is, I think that's gonna be a standard as, you know, getting a business license. I think it's gonna be not the outlier, but it's going to be mainstream. And I think this next generation or 2 are really driving that change. They see a lot of stuff that's not great right now. And I think this is where I get a ton of hope. I'm very inspired by them. They ask great questions. Um, and they're very passionate, you know, they believe it. And that's the kind of thing I see at our, we have what an event called a happy hour for good, which is twice quarterly. I bring together, everybody's invited. There is nobody excluded. I get sometimes students, I get young leaders, and the energy in that room, we have one speaker that talks a little bit about something that will help them be better purpose driven leaders. And the energy that comes out of that room is absolutely magical. And I come out of there just absolutely buzzing. And I've been doing this for 4 years now. I mean, that event we've been doing for 4 years. We're doing our first online event in 2 weeks. And so we want to get all our businesses that are outside that aren't able to be in person, at least be part of the energy and the fabric of our community.
Yeah. No, that's thank you for sharing all that. That's really uplifting and optimistic. So I agree with the inflection point thing. I do believe that, and l look forward to seeing what the younger people and us, wise older people can come up with for the future. Um, there's a question we like to ask everybody, always interesting. What does impact mean to you?
Yeah, so I think that's a pretty great question. I think a pretty simple one for me to answer. And I think that impact is really to me uh, leaving something better than I found it, and being able to prove it. Being able to prove it. Back in the day, I was a Boy Scout, and that was kind of one of the uh, ethos. That's part of the ethos of being it. You always leave a campsite better than you found it, etc. And I've always tried to do that. When my boys were young, they're young adults now, bringing them up is sharing that. And I think that is so important that accountability really makes the difference, of course. And I said, sometimes you're camping by yourself or you're on the street by yourself. Only you know what you did, but you have to live with yourself. Nobody else does really. You have to live with whatever your actions you've done. So, you know, I think on a personal level, this third act has been without a doubt the most meaningful part of my career. And I think just based on exactly that, you know, I get people that not only want to make impact, but are practicing that in their business, in their personal lives. Um, and that's what I'm just trying to do, one certified BCFG at a time. Yeah, yeah. So,
There you go. Yeah, and you're doing it.
well, I'm very grateful. I tell you what, my community, they are really super great. They're they're inspiring people, every single one of them. So, regardless of what their industry is, we have a good mix of industries, but they're all doing great work, and they all believe. I think kinda what certainly you believe and certainly I believe, and that makes me happy. So that's back to that hope thing, you know?
No, I love that. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your story. It's great information and inspirational and all the things. So I really appreciate that. And I'm happy to help get the word out about what you do and why you do it and who can benefit from becoming a benefit corporation. So, what's the best way for people to find you?
Yeah, so outside of our website, benefitcorporationsforgood.com, I know that's a mouthful and not, like, perfect, but it has been our name for a long time, is one place to start. And then if, people wanna see even more timely, our LinkedIn page, Ben Coors for Good, is a very, robust and, active page where people can find out. And again, if people wanna follow up on have questions based on whatever I've, shared with you, they can certainly reach out to me. I am very willing to get on a call with anybody. So it's just
How would they find you through your website or what's the best way?
yeah, that'd be the best way. We have a contact page. All I gotta do is fill out, say, "Hey, I wanna talk to you. I just got something from somebody last night, and, I'm getting that set up." So, yeah, I love doing that. So, want to be as accessible and however I can help them. I am, ready, willing, and able. So,
Awesome. Great. Well, thank you for taking the time to talk with me today and looking forward to our next conversation.
I so appreciate your time, Ellen, and great questions, and, yeah, and continued success for you on this great podcast you've got.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you so much.
our Make an Impact tip of the month. Go to benefitcorporationsforgood.com, click Get Certified, and take the free 12-question values alignment quiz to see where your company or organization is at. Then discuss the results with your team and choose one next action step to take. Thanks for listening, and make sure to do good in the world this month. If you have questions you'd like us to address on the podcast, you can reach us at info@riveocreative.com. Subscribe wherever you listen so you don't miss out on any of our incredible upcoming guests. We'll see you soon at the Riveo Impact Lab.